that as not the only, unfortunately, example where the police were placating the bullies, where violent, aggressive, intimidating Muslims in this case, invariably Muslims, at Speaker's Corner, had bullied an individual out who had every equal right to stand in this park and say whatever he said, which was Tan. And the police were basically walking Tan out of that park. And I was in complete and utter disbelief that the police not only were facilitating that, they were doing it. That is the only time that I can remember that I got really, really incredibly angry.
Okay.
That was about them walking Tan out.
I struggle feeling sorry for Tan, but I understand that point there.
Because it was outrageous, and you're giving in to the bullies.
But in our earlier chat, you were agreeing that Tan, some of the stuff he said was not acceptable.
But I also said he never broke the law, and he should have every right to say what he said.
Yeah, and I made
just
the
because
point.
you or I might find it not nice, or you know.
But why were you not angry when Tan was removed then when he said the N-word and stuff like that?
He wasn't. I don't think he was. Because I go back,
Well,
the speech that he gave over there, Steve Barnes was standing within feet of him giving that speech, completely within earshot. He heard every single word. And Steve Barnes even told me afterwards, he said, he was observing the crowd and gauging what their reaction was. And
Can we get back to prayer? Give me a couple of minutes, because basically, if I explain, I came down once. This is the time you look really angry, and basically what would happen was.
Was it here?
Yeah, someone prayed, and then other people had joined in because they didn't know the rules of the park. And I know that for sure. I think it was over there, and you were really angry about it.
I was angry about the town.
But that wasn't Muslims praying on purpose. That was an accident. So I didn't see the video.
That was an accident.
It was an accident.
I'm sorry.
I know it was.
The individual who lays out the tarpaulins in Marble Arch was the individual who started laying out them here.
That wasn't this time. That wasn't this one. This was.
He did
this
that
was
there week
not
after
regulars,
week.
and they'd come
Before
along.
the police just finally pulled their socks up and decided that they were going to enforce this regulation was because that individual. I'm sure it wasn't just him, but he was the key individual that would bring his little table and bring his trolley with all the mats rolled up and lay them out, and laid them out in that corner week after week, all day long.
Fine. So I'm telling you, that's what I saw. And then I came here.
So funny they chose the very same spot. Sorry to jump in. They chose the very same spot. I don't accept that it was strangers.
No, I saw how angry you were. But then I also saw you. I came down over the Christmas period, and you were joining in with the kind of the Christian. You were standing there singing it.
I sang over there.
No.
I saw you
singing it. I saw you singing it there. Very happily and proudly singing all the Christian hymns.
That's a lie. That is a lie.
I saw you on my life. I saw you
over there.
I saw you.
I did it over there, and I was taking the mickey out of them over there because I'm not a Christian person. I didn't do it there.
Okay. But you did join in.
But you joined in
over there.
Yeah. Over there.
Okay.
Not in Speaker. That's not the Royal Park.
Okay.
That's Westminster.
What?
You're just mumbling to yourself. Another one. That's not the Royal Park. That's Westminster Council, I think.
Okay, fine.
There's no regulation in Westminster Council for that not to happen.
But the point I'm making is, it seems to be it's all Muslims, isn't it? It's all
Muslims attempting to break the regulation.
Something tells me if you saw two Muslims, if you saw two Christians doing something act of worship, you would not have the same hate in your face.
The only violence I've seen from non-Muslims at Speaker's Corner is the Catholic Evidence Guild, and twice I've seen the speaker from the Catholic Evidence Guild literally jump off their green wooden plinth thing that they stand on. One headbutted someone, another one punched another guy. That there were Catholics committing violence. Apart from those two scenarios, I can't. Oh, and was it Busker, the guy that punched Ratboy on one occasion? The weekend. I mean, there was a fight today, I understand, between two Muslims. Unfortunately, I have to say, and this is the point, I have to tell myself that the Muslims that come to Speaker's Corner are not representative of Islam, because I see appalling behaviour from Muslims.
I'm glad you
pretty
can say
much,
that.
pretty much week in, week out at Speaker's
that.
Corner, which is why I go back to what I was saying earlier about more decent, sensible Muslims calling them out, verbally,
and
publicly.
You know this calling out business. I'd rather not be on COE. I'd rather not be on COE.
Why not COE?
I don't want to go on
What have
COE.
you got against COE?
We can talk about it later, but I don't want to go
Talk about it now. What have you got against Leon?
No.
Possibly had something against Leon.
I see COE.
They don't edit.
I see COE as they building up Ralph's kind of ideology.
How?
That's something. Let's stick to the
Bilal
topic.
does pieces to camera.
Okay, let's stick to the topic.
I'm sorry, Suleiman does pieces to camera.
No, the point I want to make to you is,
They give
the point I
everyone
make to
equal
you
voice.
is linked to Bilal and Suleiman.
All right.
There's a guy at the park today that I saw, the guy that you did your fundraising for.
Yes,
the one
who
that had
soon
raped,
as I
the one
found
that had
out-
raped an 87-year-old.
I can't believe you're bringing that up.
No, I know, but I saw him here. Do you think he should be here?
He's here again today.
Yeah, why
Do
shouldn't
you think he
he
should be here? Because again, that's a I've seen him here a couple of weeks now, and I'm thinking, why is no one speaking out about him? Why is no one?
Well, I think I did, didn't I? When it came to
I haven't
light.
seen. I haven't
Oh,
seen.
did you not?
I've seen him
Did you-
sitting
did
over
you
there.
not?
I've
Did
seen
you-
him sitting over
No.
there.
Do
I've seen
you
him
know
sitting over there.
when I foolishly started that crowdfunding? The second I found out, I reacted like that. Within
I heard
the same
that. I
day.
did hear that. But my point is, he's back in the park. He's back in the
But that
park.
wasn't the point. I was raising money for him after Channel 4 featured him as a homeless veteran. As soon as I discovered his criminal history, I immediately stopped the crowdfunding, and it went to a charity. It didn't, and not a penny went to him.
Okay, well done with that. And by being here today, you're fine with that? By him being here today?
So who should not be allowed to come to Speaker's Corner?
Well, you're the one telling me earlier.
I've
that
not
there's
said
certain
anyone
Muslims-
shouldn't
no,
come here.
You do. You said certain Muslims need to be spoken out against here.
Well, that's not
what you're
saying denying them right to be here.
No, it's not denying right. But
So you're jumping to a conclusion there, right?
No, I don't mean you're not saying to ban people from the park.
No.
But you're saying to me as a Muslim, I need to call out people. Yeah,
Because-
you're not calling anyone
Because
out.
they are.
You don't call anyone
At
out on your
least-
side.
at least-
Yet you expect me as a Muslim to call out
Because
Muslims.
I'm not here as part of a faith or as part of a group.
So Muslims,
you are.
Muslims
and
have to
they
live
are
by
doing,
the standard.
They are
Muslims
doing,
have to live
they
by the
are doing-
standard.
Don't perform for the camera. You're starting to perform for the camera.
I'm not. You're starting to raise. Look, if I got a word in
because
edgeways
they-
here, the only way I'm going to get a word in is by raising my voice to you.
We were having
You
a
watch back
decent
the video. We
conversation.
were. We can still have a decent conversation.
Well, let's continue.
But you keep
They
cutting
are
me off.
doing-
You
they
keep
are
cutting me
doing-
off. So when I'm
they
speaking,
are-
just let me speak a bit. Let me speak a bit.
But they are doing bad dawah, are they not?
Who?
The bad representatives of your faith.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't looked into it enough. If what you say is true, if what you say is true, I agree. Yes, I agree.
Have you not personally witnessed bad dawah?
Yes.
Lots of it. I'm not talking about little individual snippets, a month here, a month later.
I've seen bad behaviour from
Regularly.
Muslims. I've seen bad behaviour from Christians. I've seen bad behaviour from
What bad
non-Muslims.
behaviour have you seen from Christians?
When you say bad behaviour, you're talking about violence and things like that.
I don't know.
Because I haven't seen any violence from Muslims here. Me
None?
personally,
None?
I haven't seen any.
Really?
Have you seen yourself? Have you seen people on what?
Regularly. Scuffles breaking out, fights breaking out. More often than not, at this sort of time of day and later. But it happens during the day as well.
I'll tell you what I see down
you
here.
really not
No,
seen
I'll
that?
tell you what I see.
You're really on the nose,
I see the
genuinely.
Christians here not really representing Christianity that well. I see them just attacking Islam
Attacking.
any time they've got.
Attacking. What do you mean
yes.
by attacking?
Here's my so you could see if Shamsi was to stand up on a platform, he would talk about and preach Islam. If Hatun was to stand up on a platform, she would be hating Islam. I don't really hear Christianity being preached much here, and I want to hear about Christianity, but I don't hear it being preached.
To be honest,
so it is an attack on Islam.
Why is it an attack?
Have you not heard
Why
what
do
they
you
say?
use that word, attack?
I'll tell you what, because
I view it as criticism, challenge.
Okay. Every
Why
week,
is it an
week
attack?
after week, just criticism of Islam.
Do people,
That's not attack.
do
Week
peop-
after
do
week, week
people-
after
Are you
week.
seriously
week after week.
saying Muslims, for example, are not attacking Christianity week after week after week? In exactly the same way.
If they
Why is
are,
it
I would
different? Why is
support
it
that.
different?
I certainly don't see it as much from the
Well, I
Muslim
can certainly
side.
tell you that
don't see it
the
as much from
Pakistani guy that stands on the green chair over there, I'd say most of his content is attacking
Okay,
Christianity.
I would say to you, almost every Christian missionary I see is against Islam. I know you could pick out certain Muslims.
but that goes.
It doesn't go both ways. It doesn't
No,
go
that
both ways.
wasn't what I was going to say. I was
It
going to say
doesn't go
that goes
both
by
ways.
default, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you stand and publicly represent and speak for your religion, you are by default standing against all the other religions.
But you're an example yourself, because in our chat earlier, you were saying about you standing against all religions and their books and all that.
Believe me,
Clearly,
I've
though,
spent many
clearly,
hours
though,
here over the years.
Your content online must be
attacking
90%
Christians.
Islam. Your content online must
Because-
be because of the people here, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's slightly less now, well, definitely less now, but I'd say, 6 months ago and the year and 18 months prior to that, I'd say 90% of the content of Speaker's Corner was Muslim. So, and I've got, obviously...
You're watching the Dawah channel, so...
created that. No, I'm not...
You're watching
that is part that is part of the issue, but it's also the downside. Can I say no? That is the downside. That is part of... Yeah, I'm trembling. That is part of the problem, all of these cameras. To be honest, whether they're Dawah or whether they're not Dawah, I think these tripods, these cameras, and I will include COE on this as well, to a certain extent, although I think they are less biased than any other channel that comes here. But generally, I think the filming and the putting online of stuff at Speaker's Corner has not been for the greater good.
Agreed.
I think it's deteriorated Speaker's Corner.
Agreed.
Because it whips up hate, it whips up nonsense that doesn't just go on one day of the week, it goes on 7 days of the week. And it's the comments, it would be slightly better
and
if
look
you
at all
all
the Muslims nodding. Everyone agrees with you on that.
Well,
I mean, you're surprised.
I saw one.
I know you want them all reactive, but everyone's
can
nodding.
I suggest
Everyone's
that
nodding.
you at least turn off the comments? Because I think the comments are a big part of the problem.
I
I got banned and I haven't even been told why yet.
So the freedom of speech absolutist, turn off your comments.
It is hampering the quality and the diversity of Speaker's Corner.
I support that.
And it's creating violence.
I support
and I think often, not many, much...
And COE's comment section is a cesspit. There's no moderation. People, I've heard threats on there. I've heard people say all sorts on there, and it's just let go.
Well, certainly in
It's just
terms
let
of
go.
videos that I've ever put up myself, I always try my best to knock out and delete any of the comments that are.
I'm glad we're in agreement on that. I'm glad we're
Why
in
shouldn't we
agreement.
be?
Yeah,
An agreement on Brexit. We can agreement on lots of things. So it's not good. It's not good to what Speaker's Corner. I know there's an argument. Well, it's bringing it to the world, so it's bringing it to a bigger audience, but it's having a negative impact on what actually happens at Speaker's Corner. A violent, negative impact. Because there's little boys in their bedrooms threatening nonsense online.
Yeah, and the live streams.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it's just threats that they're not going to follow up.
Oh yeah, but you don't know, do you? You don't know. You've asked that question twice now. I'm giving you an answer twice. But you never know. I've had threats online, but who knows?
Has anyone ever followed up on that threat?
No, they haven't. They haven't. So far.
Empty threats that
Hopefully, yeah.
they're just angry virgins.
But there is still violence that breaks out, and some of it has been
because sometimes things do get heated. At the same time,
people get irritated.
You have to get
everyone has to shout above each other, and not a lot of people.
But we've
that
just.
leads to violence.
I have seen violence from non-Muslims here. I don't want to name names, but I have seen it.
There are non-Muslims that like to incite violence as well. Like,
Of course.
it's a thing where, end of the day, it's not violence. Is something that we don't aim for. It's something that happens. It's something that should be kept to a minimum. But at the same time, the most important thing is that a platform has to be there for people to actually debate. If people do get violent and intense, fair enough, fine. As long as they don't actually overstep the mark.
Well, you've just said if they get violent, that's fine.
If they get a bit intense,
is there a level of violence that's okay?
Okay, someone can be violent in terms of talking violently,
That's
but
not
physical violence.
Talking about physical violence.
Physical violence, okay, that shouldn't be happening. But end of the day, if people want to get heated and the debate wants to get intense, that has to be allowed to happen.
For me, Ralph is a nutter. Ralph is. I've met Ralph, and I don't actually have a problem with him individually. But I feel that if people are going to build up Ralph and spread that kind, what I said before, the distinction I have of freedom of speech, you can criticise Islam, but as soon as you start dehumanising Muslims, then
what's the borderline? What's the definition? How do you?
Well, I think
Don't mock the Prophet for one.
But I'm sorry, that cannot be a law.
I heard someone literally.
I think that's a respect thing.
You cannot.
I'd say.
What were your words? Sorry, what were your words then? But you do not slander my prophet. Did you? You didn't use the word slander. What did you say?
I just said. No. You said you asked. How can? What did you say?
No, but I'm interested in what you just said.
I literally said no. I'm not saying personally me from my point of view. I'm just saying in general, right? You can start off by not slandering.
You just say he's alright.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an
Lebanese
example.
are good.
I was just back there, someone's just walking past, they're saying, okay, the man over there, someone's making a remark about that man saying, he's telling Jack Hanuri stories, stuff like that, ignorant remarks like that, shouldn't really be made. That, do you know what I mean? That's just.
But you can't.
I don't really care. I don't really care. I know you can't outlaw it. Obviously, I don't care.
I don't want to be on.
Obviously, I'm quite a tolerant person.
Just fuzz his face.
I'm quite a tolerant person, so the way I see it, it's just you don't have to pause my face by the way, so but
No,
anyway, like I said,
not you.
yeah. No. Anyway, as I said, with like ignorant remarks like that, I'm a tolerant person. I can take it like whatever, innit? It's not a thing like that. I don't get triggered by it, but other people might, and just people need to be a bit more respectful. Do you know what I mean?
We are
obviously,
in the home of free speech.
Obviously,
so
yeah, we
therefore
are.
If you start
I know.
limiting it because
I know,
someone
exactly.
might be triggered.
Like I said. Yeah, no,
That's the
you
end
agreed.
of free
You
speech.
agreed.
It's true. It's true. Like I said, innit? Like,
I didn't really should agree.
You did,
with
no,
that
but you
then,
also
but-
that's
said
why, like,
you agreed.
that's why I don't get angry. That's why I don't get angry when like remarks like that get made.
Well,
I don't
because
get angry.
you're a better
Amazingly,
person.
when
I don't get mad, whatever, innit?
when you
Like,
were talking about
someone said
homophobia
it's dumb
and
remarks,
dehumanisation of gay people, that's when you felt stronger. When I said
Because
that.
I go back to the point
Yeah,
that we
but
covered
I agree with
earlier.
that.
Things that you
Dehumanisation of
have, things that you
homosexuality.
have no choice on should have stronger legal
So it's
protection.
fine to dehumanise things that you do have a choice.
If I have a belief, a thought, a faith,
Yes.
an ideology,
Then they can be
you should
dehumanised.
yes.
Dehumanised.
Yes.
So I,
Because it's a thought, it's a belief that I've chosen.
I could say, I
So
could say
therefore,
to you,
I have to be.
I want all Christians removed from the country. I can say that, yeah? And I can spread that.
That shouldn't be illegal, no, to say
Shouldn't
that.
be
However,
illegal.
Well, that's where we disagree. That's where we disagree.
however abhorrent or wrong or vile or you disagree with it, it shouldn't be made illegal.
And I haven't said make it illegal, but I
I
can
agree
stand
with that.
against it.
I
can't
agree with
I?
that.
I can stand
Yeah,
against
you
it.
can- yeah.
So
That's part of the whole thing.
if
Well,
I
it's the
feel
end of the day,
Syria
end
and
of the
spreading
day.
that, I can distance myself from Syria. I'm not
Well,
taking it.
at the end of the day, you can always
The
choose
thing
to
with
walk
free
away.
speech is-
I'm
the thing
going
with
to say
free
that I don't like.
Everyone's allowed to say what they want to say, but at the same time, yeah, you have to realize, okay, you're free to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, you've got to understand, you're not free from consequences. Like, if you say, you can say whatever you want to say, but there's gonna be reaction to what you say.
But then
like,
that
and
sounds
you
a
have to be
bit
ready
like
for that.
giving in to the bullies and the thugs.
No, but you have to be ready
You can
for that.
say
You have to
what
be
you
ready for
say,
that.
but you've got to realise that someone might thump
Yeah.
you for saying that. That's
Yeah, if
not
you
a
say
society
something-
I want to live in. I'm
It's
sorry.
not okay. It's not
It's not a
great, but
speaker's corner I
sometimes, yeah,
want to
someone
be.
might get angry. One person might get
You know
angry.
Nazi
whatever,
Germany,
like,
and I know,
they might not like it,
no,
whatever.
but I know you know, but Nazi Germany,
what it is,
where the
that's it.
Jews,
Like,
you know, they were
you
saying
can still
about,
say it if you want,
they were
do you know what I
saying
mean?
about
Yeah.
big noses.
No one's
and they-
stopping
they
you,
were
like-
they were dehumanising Jews over a
of
period
big
of time.
noses.
It's just
No,
every
but
action has a
that's how it
reaction. It's part of
started.
life.
It started like
literally.
that. Then they were putting pictures of them, mocking them. Over time, Jews were dehumanised to the point where Nazis were a lot of them were normal Germans. Actually, got to the point where they could kill them.
And the solution to that
So,
is
but
not
you're-
banning words.
It's not allowing it
not
spread. It's
banning
not allowing
words.
that spread. That stuff. This is
But
my
you don't-
opinion. That's
you
my
don't-
opinion.
but can
if
I
you're
point-
happy to live in a society where that
But
stuff
can
spreads,
I point
then
out?
that's
Can
your,
I
that's
point
your,
out?
that's your,
The BNP was a nasty, truly racist organisation. It had a guy called Nick Griffin. Now the BBC put Nick Griffin on Question
Do you
Time
speak
one
UK?
night.
Do you UK?
Cover that in a
We'll
minute.
go that. We'll
So,
go to that.
so BBC put Nick Griffin on Question Time. There was a load of people, and I went down there and I watched them. They were protesting outside the TV centre on Wood Lane in Shepherd's Bush, saying, you know, no platform to racists, no platform for racists. Even though I thought Nick Griffin was a vile specimen, I thought those people shouting outside the TV centre were absolutely wrong. And I think, and what happened, I think, proves my case, because the BBC allowed Nick Griffin to go on Question Time, and within months he was destroyed.
Were the
Within
BNP
months, the
dehumanised?
BNP were destroyed
he destroyed
because
himself.
yes, exactly,
He destroyed
because
himself.
the entire population, if they hadn't seen him before, saw what a fucking idiot he was, saw what stupid arguments he was putting forward, and he was destroyed. So therefore, you don't destroy bad arguments by deplatforming people, by
Nice,
silencing people.
Yeah, but he was.
you
Okay, you
destroy
say he's an
arguments.
idiot. There are some people that are quite clever, so that's an example of an idiot, maybe. But there are some clever people out there with those
Oh,
ideologies.
so you're saying, so if there was a clever racist person, if that could exist,
No, I'm not saying. I'm not
they
saying
should
that.
be silenced as
I'm
well.
just saying we should cut
You
it.
did say though you want certain individuals' free speech restricted.
I possibly think
He wants
so.
the comment sections restricted as well.
People can say what they want to
Because they
say.
whip up.
People can say what they want to say. Literally.
Well, come on, let's face it.
Someone has
you-
said, would you basically would you?
At one
you
point,
got
at one
people
point, what's
commenting.
else?
Go on, read out the question.
I'll paraphrase. Would you be happy with Anjam Chowdhury coming
Well-
down the park and speaking?
Right, that's a very good question, and it's a very reasonable
I know
question.
your
And my answer is, I'm not sure whether he should, because he is a terrorist. He was encouraging people to move towards terrorism. He was treasonous. If we still had the law against treason, he would have been convicted.
What's your
for
definition
that.
of terrorism for
What
him?
about one of his followers?
At one point,
If you're
you just
encouraging,
know-
Yeah.
violence against the state that you're standing in, that you're living in, that you're part of.
What if you're encouraging
Yes.
violence
If you're
just to a people? What if you're encouraging violence just to a people? Because I'm wondering that it's not just Andrew Chowdhury.
Encouraging violence to anyone is wrong, whether it's
good.
an individual. What do you mean good?
I mean, at one point
I'm
you
glad
said
that you say that.
at one
I'm
point
glad
you
that you
said
say
you were okay
So I
with
think-
someone saying okay. Like,
I'm not
they can kick
100%.
out
So back
Christians
to
out
the
the
question about Andrew Chowdhury. I'm not 100% sure about it, but I think if I had to come down on any side, it would be the likes of Andrew Chowdhury shouldn't be allowed here.
Does that include
the likes of
Suleiman and Bilal?
the likes of Bilal and Suleiman, who I believe are absolute adherents to Andrew Chowdhury. They tiptoe around it because they're tiptoeing around the law because they know they're under heavy surveillance by the state, quite rightly. And you know, the day that they got their ISIS flag out or whatever flag you want to
It
describe
wasn't an
it,
ISIS flag.
we know why they got it out.
Okay,
We
mate.
know why
Alright.
they got it out.
Alright.
We know why they got it out because they're idiots, they're children,
Monitored.
and it's all part of the power games that they're playing, sucking up to Anjem or Anjem's types, and they're playing a silly game. But you know, they are under probably 24/7 surveillance, as thousands of others are. So yeah, I don't think they should be allowed down here because I think they are dangerous people.
other
Like
people?
you think, far right extremists shouldn't be down
I
here.
didn't say they shouldn't be allowed here. I said I think they should
campaign very much for them.
organised violence. I said.
They shouldn't be allowed to organise violence.
Yeah, conspire to commit violence. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. If that's what they were doing,
they
I would
do.
agree with
So
you.
what about
Whatever
Tommy
is a
Robinson?
terrorism.
I mean,
What-
people that
Give me a
incite.
specific question about
So what
that.
about people that
Similar to that one.
people that incite violence on the
Do
far
you
right?
think,
People
do you
that are
think
inciting,
if Tommy Robinson had ever incited violence, he would still be walking the streets? Do you really think that?
No, but
he himself hasn't. He himself
does.
hasn't. Okay, he himself, yeah, he's
He
someone
has,
that like,
he has incited violence.
he's danced around. He's danced around it.
There's a video clip.
He will
of Tommy
never.
Robinson.
He himself. He's actually quite an articulate man, Tommy Robinson. I'll give him that. He's actually
When
very
he's-
articulate. That he's someone that
take
he will
that.
never
Good luck.
explicitly incite violence.
No, he has.
himself.
He has. There's a video clip of him doing it.
Even when he
There's a
incites
video
it.
clip of Tommy Robinson saying.
There we go. Then
and
you
I
know.
quote,
Not the
okay.
Manchester Street.
No.
the-
There's a video clip of him saying to someone, "If you can get away with it, not on camera, punch him in the face."
Yeah, that's pretty much his.
Not seen that
That's
bit.
pretty much his strategy.
Send it
With
to me.
that is
Send it
pretty.
to me.
That is, to be honest, that is pretty much what I was gonna say. His strategy is like a lot of the time he don't really.
If that is true and he said that, that's absolutely wrong and abhorrent.
maybe one
And that is
time.
inciting violence.
I can't believe he's not been prosecuted for
But that
that.
is
Maybe
inciting
once,
violence.
he might have,
Well,
but
I
like,
need
even
to-
then, the way he
That's
is,
what he's saying.
he
Okay,
dances
I'll
around
find
it. Like he leads people to like large protests. He leads people to these like.
Large protests are.
But a lot. Yeah, but what do these large protests? Yeah, but what do these
No,
large
it's not
protests?
similar to Hitler, come
what
on.
are these large protests lead into though? What do,
So when all the
A lot of these
Remainers come
protests
out
ain't
and
peaceful,
protest
though. They're not
against
peaceful.
Brexit, are they?
are these protests be? Boss,
Oh, so if it's
Or-
about religion, it's wrong.
you can
but
tell
if
me
it's
a lot of
about
these.
anything else-
Well, most of these EDL marches completely peaceful,
I
especially like
don't-
the ones in like Luton, like, smaller towns over there, Shrewsbury.
I wanted to go
Police-
back what I thought you said
police
earlier, where you
instructions
said,
or
I thought you
Telford.
said maybe you
Any
didn't.
radical
They're all about
ideology.
freedom of speech.
There's been
That's
much in
all
Telford,
fine.
Luton,
But the
Shrewsbury.
boundary is do
Then
not
go
insult
that
my
peaceful.
prophet.
I'm pretty sure 1-2
Okay,
shots.
but okay, I've heard people say that freedom of speech is okay, but you must.
Sorry?
Andrew Chowdhury.
No,
He had a
Well, we've got to talk.
Yeah.
and criticizing women who were covered and stuff.
What I would say
So
on
that's
that
an
thing
extremist
is
Is it
as well.
okay to insult your prophet?
no, but
So
I
it
would
goes
say
both
just
ways.
as I think you should probably, as a respectful Englishman, not do it. But it's not. It shouldn't be against the law.
The thing is, who
Shouldn't be
decides?
against- shouldn't be
Yeah, it's not against
the
the
law.
law. It's just something like,
Okay,
if
so
you're a
we
nice
agree.
guy,
But
just do
But
it.
hopefully,
It shouldn't be against
have
the
you ever
law.
done it? Have you ever done it?
Oh my God, yeah.
You have. So would you say you're disrespectful?
To your prophet, absolutely, yeah, big time.
But is there a way of critiquing the prophet without?
There are different
without-
styles. There are different
yeah.
styles, aren't there? There's satire, there's ridicule, there's scriptural analysis, there's philosophical debate. There's many ways that you can come to.
The thing
a
is, there are
subject.
certain words,
and I
though,
think
where,
you should be allowed all
no,
of
but,
them.
no, but you may be having an emotional argument with somebody, and you may say things like that, but then you're actually you're hurting a whole bunch of people.
If I was,
It's just out of respect.
if I was going out my front door and my Muslim neighbour was coming out of his door, obviously to turn around and say, "Your prophet's a P word," shall we say? That would be disrespectful.
Yes.
But that
very
sort of,
uncalled for.
but that sort of dialogue here at Speaker's Corner should
you
be
hear it a lot.
absolutely lawful and
And it is.
fine,
And it is.
and that's how it should be.
I mean, yeah, it's not against the law.
Because
but it's
soon as you start even nudging towards the direction of stopping it or preventing it or making it unlawful, That's a slippery slope. And
Like I said to me-
who makes the decision?
To me, it's a dehumanisation of Muslims.
If I criticise and ridicule L. Ron Hubbard, there's going to be a whole stackload of Scientologists that are going to be highly insulted by that. But what if someone was suggesting don't insult Muhammad? You would have to accept that you can't insult L. Ron Hubbard as well, and the Thetans and whatever nonsense is in Scientology. It's a ridiculous and slippery and dangerous road to go down, and we must never go down that road.
Just as
Because
a respectable person, I just choose not to do that. I don't
That's
understand
a
why.
different thing.
I don't
That's
understand why
I
people
think
sort
it's
of.
the delivery, not the message.
Yeah,
It depends how you.
I don't understand why freedom of
and the
speech.
context and where you're doing
Yeah.
it.
They want the license.
Because
You say
there
it in a nice
there is a famous quote, and unfortunately I can't remember who said it, but I'm trying to
You can
remember
say
what it was.
anything in a
It was
nice
something
way.
along the lines: "Free speech without the ability to offend is not free speech." There's a quote, something along those lines, and that was in a legal case.
I think you could talk about
a very
paedophilia
if we can't
or
offend
anything
one
in a
another,
nice
we
way.
don't
Have you ever
free
insulted
speech.
Jesus? Have you ever insulted Jesus?
Yes.
You've done that as well.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Okay, at least you're fair in it. Buddha might have in it.
I don't. Yeah.
No, not really.
The thing
But-
is,
but
I
this-
personally, this is just personally me, I don't really want to live in a society where everyone's just going around abusing each other to that extent. But
The thing
you know,
is, when
but
you've
at the end of
got-
the day, I live
if-
if that's where you want to live, then
Let's
that's,
talk theoretically. If you've got one community who are pushing that and who basically want blasphemy law just for their own religion,
It's not
to
only
me-
Muslims that
to
want-
me-
that want
it's not-
respect.
I didn't even name
It's
it.
not a thing.
No,
that's
blasphemy.
why I
law.
said
The
if
blasphemy
there's
thing
not-
gave it away.
no one-
Because
no
they're
one's
the only
doing
ones
blasphemy.
doing it,
Exactly,
my
so you
friend.
did say
They're the
Muslims,
only ones
but you-
doing
so you
it.
are
No one-
I was trying to
Right.
avoid it, just for
Right.
because sometimes, because whatever the argument
might be
is,
something.
you should be able to apply the arguments for other situations, because
Agreed.
otherwise it's a
Agreed.
weak argument,
Agreed.
which is why I took the I word out of it. And now you made me forget what I was going
Okay,
to say.
fine.
What was I saying? Yeah, who decides? Who decides where the parameters are? What you can insult, what you can't insult? And again, I come back to what the Christian preachers do here at Speaker's Corner is in no way more hateful or insulting than what the Muslims do to the Christians. They're challenging one another's scriptures, one
Agreed. They're
another's
both very
faiths,
hateful people.
one another's ideologies. Yeah, the kuffophobia that goes on week in, week out here is far.
But interestingly though, we've had Tan come and go. We've already gone about what he said about Islam, reducing the population,
He
masturbating on the
didn't
Quran.
say that.
He did say that.
He said about wanking on the Quran. Yes.
Okay,
He did
yeah,
not
yeah.
say
That's very just.
killing, slaughtering.
Did I say he said
reducing?
that?
He
Did
said
I say-
reducing the
Did
population.
he say he did? He
And
said reduce
meant
the population from 1.6 billion.
by conversion.
Yeah, I didn't
by
say. Did I say
conversion.
anything else other than that?
But
Did
you were
no,
playing
but you've
along.
assumed
You were
it. No,
playing-
I
because
haven't.
that was your direct.
Here's
that
my
was your-
point. Here's
that
my
was your
point. He didn't specify, so he left it open on
because he was
purpose.
sensationalist.
Yes,
and that's
he
his
left
whole,
it open on purpose.
His whole
But
method.
that borderlines onto hate speech because some people will listen to him. It does. But anyway, so we had
So
Tan.
it was clear
We had
he was
Tan, who
he was
said
pushing
that.
the boundaries of free speech. That's
Yeah.
what he was here
We
to
had
do.
Tan do that. Then we've got Ralph at the moment who's saying he'd deport all Muslims and there's a war coming.
I don't think he said any of those.
He does. He has.
Here, no,
He has.
here.
Well, he said
He
it in
said
the
them here
comments.
or online.
And I'm
It's
pretty
around
sure.
the game.
I'm pretty sure
you
you go, just go and look at
we're
one of the
predominantly
COE
talking about
videos. Go and
speakers
look at
corner.
one. That's
How
all
do
you
you
have to
feel,
do.
boss? How do you feel? Yeah, like the thing is, yeah, it's a thing where like a lot of these like hateful fucking people, yeah, like it's almost like they're being basically being told that it's okay.
Yeah, but
it's okay to be
let me
racist.
land my
They're
point. Can I land my
basically told
point?
it's
Because
okay
I
to be
was
racist.
midway
Like,
through.
we're gonna allow you. We're gonna allow you.
We've got
Be
Tan and
racist.
Ralph
That's-
who said revolting
Which is
things about
scary.
Islam. And that's kind of, and you always sort of be on the side of,
Tan
yeah, but
said
it's freedom of
revolting things
speech, they're
about
allowed. But I just get the feeling that if someone was to come around and hate along, you know, if someone was to hate towards gay people, or someone was to
They
hate
do
towards,
that every
you would be
week.
well against it.
They
You'd
do
be
that
well
every
against
week.
it. No,
There is
they don't.
virulent, vile homophobia here every week.
Show me. Where show me where.
Just look at the internet. Just look at the YouTube videos. You keep saying that you've not experienced stuff here. That happens on a weekly basis.
My point is, and you know, to me, Speaker's Corner is
From
a little
gang
bit
as much as from Muslims.
Okay, Speaker's
actually.
Corner is a little bit of a window to the world, I think, and for me, it definitely seems to be acceptable to say what you want about Islam. But if you say things, you could say the N-word. That's not acceptable, and I support that. That's not acceptable. you can say other things, and you won't last long at Speaker's Corner if you come out with that. So if you were going to say
you won't last long at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, I think Tan's final demise was when he started going on to other people.
Tan's final demise is that his visa ran out and he had to leave the country. That's his final demise.
So that day he wasn't. You say he wasn't removed, but it looked to me like everyone was united.
He was never banned.
Everyone was united. Everyone was united.
Sorry, what's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan, with someone critiques Islam,
Fine.
but not in a antagonistic
Absolutely
way.
fine.
Why shouldn't it be
that's fine. There's
antagonistic?
nothing wrong with that.
I mean, there's I guess that's
Obviously,
the
there's
point.
things
It can be
with
said-
that
it can be
members
done
of
in
a
a
religion.
non-antagonistic
Not every
manner.
member of Islam
And,
is perfect.
To
fair
me,
enough.
it seems that
Well,
Muslims are just more ultra-sensitive.
Sure, maybe they are. Maybe.
And because
I think
again,
that-
I want to make the point.
some can,
I
some
want to
can.
make the point.
Some
You
can be.
you only need to criticise, let alone ridicule. You only need to criticise Islam, and you're branded a hate preacher. I've been branded a white
You
supremacist.
seem sensitive, Steve. You seem
I'm
sensitive.
I'm sorry.
You seem
Because
depends
racism
how-
is
it
extremely
depends how-
abhorrent in
about
my
Jews.
mind.
Okay.
People banding the word racist
It's the way
to
you say it.
people,
It's the way you say
it's
it.
vile, and it's gonna be damaging to deal with the real racists.
Why do people call you racist, do you think?
Because I criticise Islam.
You think that's the only reason?
No, it's,
No other
it's
reason.
not that you criticise Islam. It's maybe
The way I do it.
Steve, thing is, a lot of people,
You should criticise
me
any
personally,
religion.
the whole thing of satire and that, I can take, but true say, a lot of Muslims, they might not take the satirical approach so well.
They're worse people, aren't they?
Steve, quick question.
And they shouldn't come to Speaker's Corner, of all places.
Maybe they might be a bit
where
too
they're going to
sensitive.
hear
I
shit
think
they
it's just
don't
about
like.
diplomacy.
Maybe they might be too sensitive for
Speaker's Corner is not about
Yeah.
diplomacy. And it
Can
can't
I
be.
finalise the
Sorry,
point?
what
Go on,
I just want to criticise the Jewish community as well.
When it comes to kosher slaughter, yes. When it comes to illegal schools, yes.
Yeah.
When it comes to religious indoctrination of children,
So like
yes.
the Hasidic community that live in like Stanford
Yeah,
Bridge
absolutely.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Completely marginalised life.
I'm not sure if they're so high in numbers, but it's still bad, even if they're lower numbers.
I'm just saying,
Still very
it has to be
kosher
inclusive.
slaughter is as wrong as halal slaughter.
I think he criticised.
But the other, but the difference.
At
in
least
that-
you're saying
in
it's both- they're both
One
wrong.
difference
He says
is
that, he
though,
says that.
Tesco's doesn't
He's
sell
not restricting
kosher
Muslims.
slaughtered food without
What's wrong with halal food?
without labelling it.
What's wrong with halal
But
food?
Tesco sells halal slaughtered food without labelling it. We have to have labelling. We have to know what we're buying,
Okay.
and that's not the
Are
situation.
you against halal slaughter?
Yeah, but let's not get into it.
No, I just wondering why? How come?
Tasting that something.
Because that's not what we're
All
talking
my
about.
non-Muslim friends
Surely we
Let's
should
not
understand, like,
be dragged
if someone
down
came
there.
to my country and they did
Where's your
non-Islamic
country?
things, Pakistan, if they came to Pakistan and did non-Islamic things, they'd be criticised as well. So surely we have to have some empathy for people of his generation. Who,
It's your choice.
My
whether you want-
generation. What?
yeah,
Am I
I mean,
old?
you're a lot older.
No, to be fair,
Steve's not
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Steve's not old.
You probably didn't
Oh, you think I-
I quite like you. Actually.
No, but people from his generation.
Don't say that.
To be fair, you probably didn't go. To be fair, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You'd probably be a bit more tolerant had you have grown up with Muslim friends.
Sorry?
Like, you probably would be. You probably would be a
I
bit more
live
tolerant.
in a
Had you,
very Muslim area.
yeah, you live in a Muslim area now. But was your area Muslim
Where I
as
grew
you
up as
were
a
growing
kid, no.
up? No,
But what
exactly.
you have to
If you
understand
have
is,
Muslim friends, not
if
really,
people
no.
come to Pakistan and start doing whatever they want, it's not going to be tolerated.
Like the army.
Therefore, we should understand with the Western, with these ethnic Brits, the white, they are the ethnic Brits, if they sometimes feel other practices are alien to their culture. We have
And
to
that's
be
what it's
empathetic.
about.
It's just about
Practices.
empathy.
It's not about skin
I don't
colour.
think you have to.
I've
adhere
always
to
gone out of my
anything.
way to say it's got nothing to do
When
with
my
skin colour.
family see people doing certain things, like wearing a miniskirt, they find it in my country, they would never tolerate it. So it's a similar thing. It's just a shock in the culture that you're not used to.
Say again.
We should try to empathise with them, not attack them.
There has been,
I believe
there
it can
is
be.
and there has been cohesion in this country. My fear is if it goes or if it diminishes or if it reduces. That's my biggest fear. I don't want lack of cohesion, which is why you go back to, you have to have one law for all. You have to respect.
Yeah.
We all have to be
We
governed.
should have a parallel
Honestly,
law.
boss,
I know, I know it
honestly,
does,
boss-
but many people don't.
Honestly,
follow
boss,
it.
what is
And
boss?
the British state government almost seems to actively roll over to create.
Because the thing is,
not
for
having
things
one
to be
law for all.
as they should be, like, there needs to be more open-mindedness with society as a whole. Like, that's the thing.
This country,
I think we just have
And
to
the problem
explain
is
these
there's
type
too
of
many
people.
social issues that lead to like this hate anyway. That's the problem. Like half of the people that come out with this hate speech are coming from similar backgrounds. Whether they're coming from like MD Muslim defensive or English defensive, like, they're literally coming from the same. Like they're all coming from like poor backgrounds, like backgrounds where they've had nothing, parents or benefits. Like, do you know what I mean?
Steve.
It's more to do with social issues than it is to do with religious or race.
Steve, quick question, yeah? Okay, cool. Put religion aside, yeah?
I wish we could.
Let's
I really wish we
for
could.
the sake of this conversation, right? So I think some of our biggest concerns right now, us as Londoners, I'm assuming everyone here is a Londoner.
Knife crime.
Yeah, all great London.
Exactly. It's more to do with societal issues. That's what I've been saying, literally.
So we put
all these problems with religion, hate speech, it's all boils down to like societal issues. Like people from the EDL and people from Muslim Defence League.
Let's put that
they're
aside.
all coming from literally. They're all coming from literally.
Bro, put that aside.
They're all coming from like. They're all coming. They're all basically the same.
They don't like it when you mention Muslims in this.
What's the thing is,
Even from the Muslim used to exist.
MDL and EDL.
It was a reaction to the
The thing is, it's the
Steve,
thing
I'm
where
gonna
like
go pray.
Anyway, nice to
they're both coming from the same sides of the coin. You know what I mean?
Steve, quick question, yeah? So I think us as Londoners, yeah?
Yo, he's going now, Jordan's gone.
Yeah, he's gonna go pray at us. Yeah. So look, I think the biggest concern us right now, if we put Brexit and our economic problems aside, I think the biggest problems right now is fighting social issues is the current knife crime epidemic in the city.
And I have to say that's amongst your community.
It is. However, there are Asian people affected by it.
No, not really.
Really?
Oh, of course there are. Of course there are.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter. You live in a council house. You're living in a council house.
When was someone last stabbed in Southall?
None.
No. Oh, Steve, hold on. Steve.
It's not a race.
Southall. When was someone stabbed in Southall?
No,
Steve.
It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter what country you are.
Steve.
So do I.
Steve.
Yeah,
Has anyone got Instagram here? Has anyone got Insta? Has anyone got, go on your Instagram quickly, yeah?
I just said that on
Steve,
camera.
if we look at the statistics, yeah, there are black people and white people, Asian people. Predominantly, I would say a large number of young black men are dying, and quite a lot of the perpetrators that's what's televised. However, when you look at the ones that are not reaching the news, I'll show you through social media, young Asian kids, young white boys stabbing other white boys. When it becomes the issue of when it's
You're saying that's happening to the same degree?
it's happening like today. The area that I'm from. Hold on.
At one point in 2005, do you know what where the highest murder capital in Europe was? Not London, but Glasgow. Not London, but Glasgow.
Can I just finish the
Glasgow.
Can I just finish the point?
Drugs are.
Glasgow was the murder capital of the world in 2005.
I just want to finish the point.
Yeah,
Let me just finish my point.
And what black people are in Glasgow? What black people are in Glasgow? No one. Say that.
Were they stabbing each other?
I promise you. Stabbing, bottling,
The point I'm trying to make.
all types of attacks.
The point I'm trying to make here.
We're not saying all murders, but we're saying majority, certainly in London.
It's to do with
It's being televised. That's what I'm trying to say.
not
Steve,
Asian,
What
not
are the
Muslim.
societal...
No. What you have to bear in mind is that in certain communities there is a fatherless issue, and we shouldn't be offended to
I'm
say
saying
And that's what you don't get in the Asian community.
you don't get that in the Asian community. I've never met Asian Muslims.
Honestly, you know how many people?
I don't know.
You know how many?
I don't know this. Wallah,
For someone that comes from a very gang-related area,
and I know
who's
thousands.
been around this my whole entire life, what you don't see televised
Very rare.
are the young Asian kids that are being stabbed and the young white boys that is happening, Steve. I'll show you videos. I will show you videos. I'll show you videos.
We're from the area.
Yeah?
It's not happening.
Hold on. When it becomes...
Southall isn't really an area.
when
known for
Well, exactly.
It's
Because
19
it's 99% lived by
99%
Asian people.
99%
Steve,
Sikh, Hindu mainly.
Pakistani.
And growing.
when
Do you know, honestly, it's more to do with like society than it is.
I don't think it's drugs. You've got to admit drugs are invariably involved.
But we
It is a
have
big
to
factor.
talk about-
It's definitely a big
We have to talk
factor.
about fatherless homes as well.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
a
an
factor.
important
Why are
part.
there drugs? Why are there drugs? Why are drugs involved?
Tell me, I don't know.
But why
Ask
don't we
yourself-
talk about that issue as well?
People are quick. People are quick. Yeah.
And in Glasgow, there was a lot of fatherless homes as well.
Tiring of the same.
That's definitely one of the
Same
main
in
factors.
Glasgow.
And
Yeah, it's because they're black.
But we
Oh,
shouldn't
it's
be allowed
because
to
they got
say
drugs.
that.
It's
Yeah.
not because they're
Oh, they're
black.
all gangbangers. Yeah, what's it called? They're all. Let's let them all
that.
stab each other. Yeah.
No, it's not that. There's deeper issues.
We have to understand where it's happening and why it's happening, don't we?
What caused the riots? It's happening because people are. It's happening because people are being marginalised. Like the
How are they being
lowest
marginalised?
people in society are being marginalised.
So you're saying it's poverty?
Why?
Yes,
But
yes,
I know a lot
yes.
of poor Asians who are
But,
successful.
You know, tell me why. Yeah, the block where I live here. It's literally less than a mile from Grenfell. Tell me why, yeah, 2 years on from Grenfell, yeah, the cladding still hasn't been removed. Tell me why. Tell me why.
Well, that's
My block is less than a mile from Grenfell. Tell me why the same flammable cladding still hasn't been removed.
because the council's incompetent.
Exactly,
The
because they
TMO
don't care,
is
because we are being marginalised. They
What
don't.
do you think
They don't
about-
care if you're poor. Full stop.
Sorry, but what
If you're poor, they don't give a
what
fuck
about
about
the
you. That's
other
it.
ethnic minorities who
Literally,
are really
sorry about that.
hardworking and
I had to say it. Heat of
achieve
the moment.
high status? What about those?
Exactly.
What about the other ethnic minorities who
Can I
are
speak,
really
bro?
successful?
This lady's
Like
point is
Asians,
there
they're
are
highly
other
successful.
ethnic
Why did the
minorities.
2011 riots? You think it was just over one person dying? People get killed by the police every day. Not every day.
Yeah, same thing.
Not every day, yeah, but like
Only
it
one
happens
person.
quite
Miami doesn't
often.
have a
Exactly.
One person.
People of all
And
colours
he's
get
a
shot by the
black
police. Why did people choose to riot that
We have
time?
to be honest
Unfortunately,
about this.
society is becoming more violent.
Yeah.
More guns, more knives.
And
But why is that? Why do you
Asians
think?
generally
Why do you think
are
that reaction?
I don't think
every
it's
other
just because of poverty.
culture.
I don't
We
think
have to admit
because
that.
there are many communities that are in poverty
And I'm
that
not talking
are
about all of them. I'm talking about Pakistan.
going in that
not
direction.
Bangladesh.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, London. The thing is here with London is that like, the
London's
problem is
become the
yeah,
shithole, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
that the marginalisation is so much that like the area I live here, like you have literally like council houses
I've
full
gotta
of
go- I've gotta go
you have
make a
council
call.
houses
Nice
full
talking
of
to you.
vice.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. But yeah, you got council houses full of vice, full of like just every wrong possible thing that could be happening in a society.
Yeah.
And just across the road, you can have multi-million-pound houses that are worth millions in the same area. I literally cross the canal, like where I live, yeah, and that's it. I go from my shit estate into houses that I could only dream
I
of.
think
Literally.
you have to understand that not every ethnic minority is going through that. Though. There's a lot of
Not every
ethnic
it's not to do with ethnic
minorities who are
minority.
really
It's not to do with my.
successful. Yeah.
It's not, as I said many times. It's nothing to do with your minority. It's not to do with your ethnicity at all. Like, it's literally just to do.
It could be to do with family
in this country,
dynamics.
in this country, it's more to do with family dynamics, and most importantly, what's in your pocket, like, than anything.
I think family dynamics
Your pocket
plays
probably
a strong
Your
part.
pocket probably matters than
Not
anything
in,
in
not
this
to an
country.
extent.
Money talks.
But may I ask what you do? Because I come from born here, so-and-so family. My background's Nigerian and stuff like that. My
Nigerians
mum
are
and dad.
highly successful people.
Yes.
Let me say that.
Well, I've got
And
3
in
brothers,
America,
1 sister.
The most successful minority is Nigerians.
Yeah, thank
They're
you.
the most educated and they're filthy rich. So we have to understand why are Nigerians so successful. Nigerians should be the kind of basis for everyone to follow.
Yeah.
Nigerians and I think it's the Chinese.
Yeah, but they're taking over our land as well and stuff. They're going in. That's what we're just saying. Yeah, modernised. They've got reflexes.
But
They
we have
know
to
a lot of stuff.
understand why
Nigerians are good people.
these
At the same
people are
time,
so successful.
there are stories of Nigerian boys
And
that
Nigerians.
go down that wrong path, yeah, and somehow like
They're highly
end up like in jail or doing like the wrong thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
it's a thing. It's not that. As I
not a
said,
stereotype, that's
someone
just
could be
a fact.
Nigerian, raised by both parents, come from a good background, but like.
In every country they
Do you know it's the area that you live, like the society that you're exposed to, like it plays such a big factor. Like, do you know what I mean? Honestly, like, such a big factor, and it's
Yes,
something
yes.
that like people need to recognise. Like, and not a lot of people do
We also
that.
need to recognise why are Nigerians so successful.
They also, well, not every Nigerian.
all.
Like I said,
Well,
I was
education
telling
system
him,
in
as I
my
was telling
country,
him, that
education system. in my-
And there's lots of very good Nigerians, but at the same time, you do hear stories about Nigerian boys. You do hear stories about Nigerian boys. Some of them that go down that wrong path. Even people that I know personally, Nigerian boys that I know personally, that like, have gone to jail, that have done violence. Like, and it's not a thing where like it's not a thing that they were just raised by one parent or like, oh yeah, it's because they were this or that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but
people need to actually look at like, people need to just man up and actually say, you know, there's issues with our society, that are leading to this. It's not because, they're black or because they're Nigerian or because of this. Like, there's issues. Like, there's actual real issues that people need to address. Like, people just need to stop ignoring that.
To have a father in the household, a strong father, a strict father.
It's not about a strict father. Honestly, you can have a strict father, but then I've seen a lot of people with strict fathers and they're sneaky. They're very sneaky.
Do you have a strict father in your house?
My father's very laid back.
Well, my dad's very strict.
My dad's laid back, I'm fine. Look, literally.
I think that has played a crucial part in keeping us on the right path.
I think it's about opportunity. If you get opportunity, like you get work opportunity.
Yeah, but no one has work opportunities. You can't just say that.
Honestly, someone can have a strict foot,
and
end up being sneaky.
I know.
Someone who's involved in your life. Someone who's involved in your life. That's all I mean. I don't really have to.
Yes.
You know?
Role models and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. You can.
A father figure. What the new society is saying is that women don't need a man, but that's not true. You need a man. You know, and you need a good man in your life because a child needs a strong father figure. It's very important. But
that's true.
They're pushing this narrative now that you don't need a man, just do it on your own. But most of the Nigerians and Asians that they surveyed who were really successful, they had really strong father figure. Yeah, and I'm not just saying it to be prejudiced. I'm saying it's across all cultures, you know.
But I don't really trust stacks. I don't trust what the government statistics they put out.
But this is over so many countries.
But this is kind of true though.
If they were racist, why would they say about Nigerians? They would say any black country then. If they were prejudiced.
I don't know. There's a lot of I don't trust the stats. I look at people individually.
No, but you have to look at it.
Stats are there for a reason.
Stats are not individually there, they're collective.
Stats are there for a reason, to show us what's happening in society. So that's why we have to understand why certain groups are doing so well, and let's learn from them.
At the same time, like in this country, I think it's more to do with socio-economic background than anything. It's more to do with that than race. Maybe in a country like America, it's more race.
Yeah, but surely if you have a child and you're really integral part of that child's life, instead of just not taking an interest, it will make a difference. You know?
Oh yeah, of course. But that's something. It's got nothing to do with the race. It's to do with just taking care of your kid. Something that any member of any race can do.
No race has to do. Well, that's why I mentioned Nigerians.
Just look after your kid. Do that. That's it.
You know?
And there are Nigerians who are not successful at the same time.
No, of course you're right.
Exactly, like bro, that's what I'm saying. You must know Nigerian kids that have gone to jail. Yeah, you must know someone that's gone bin. Like,
yeah. Other societies.
We know the horriblest one that ever existed.
Same with Indians. Indians do really well.
Michael Olajuwon, yeah.
You know, Indians do really well.
That's the most horriblest one. You know, ever.
There's nothing wrong with like stating facts.
I'm not even talking. I'm talking ones that I know, but like personally, like that I've met, like literally, like I said. Gets to that.
Do you know what the time is? My battery's died. I was supposed to call my husband and my battery's died.
8:10.
Just past 8.
Oh, thank you. Well, I better be off. Okay, see you guys. Nice talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
So what are we talking about?
What were we talking about again? Just
like issues with society, obviously issues with
society,
stabbings, that kind of thing, innit? Like,
well, there's been a few.
The white guy over there, he was trying to say obviously it's to do with like race, that kind of thing. You know, like he was saying, okay, like places like Southall, because there's majority Asians there, stabbings tend to be lower. But that's not really the case. How many Asian boys do you know that get into like problems?
So many Asian people against that.
Exactly. Plenty of Asian people that get into like those kinds of problems. Like,
if you go to Bethnal
like I said, I'm a young person. If
you go to like Bethnal Green specifically, it'll mostly be an Asian kid.
Exactly, shoe store. Like Bethnal Green, places like Hayes especially, bro. Maybe because it might not be happening in the South, or it'll happen somewhere else. London's big.
London's a big place. It's stabbings everywhere. Everyone's doing it.
I've seen one about 16 years ago. Yeah, but yeah, we're right. It was outside Bethnal Green Station. It was an Asian guy, about 2 or 3 April, and he got sliced up with a Makati. You know, right, coming at the station there, when you go to the bus stop there, about 16 years ago now. It was one broad daylight about in the morning, like 11 o'clock, and then after they threw the cutlass over the fence like that. You've been down for Green, haven't you? And they drove off in a. And I called the thing. It cut there, and then it was slit there, and then after it was opened up.
Did he survive?
Don't know.
Don't know.
And I turned my back. That's the worst I've seen. And then I quickly run over on my old Sega and 2 or 3. I don't know what happened to them, but if you are out there, you killers, hope you're died. 16 years. What? I don't know what that is. I'm glad I'm watching it. It was 16 years ago.
Westfield's a dodgy area, White Sea.
Yeah. What happened to Westfield, Junior? Huh? What happened to Westfield? Some boys got stabbed. Black boy. Did you see the fight earlier?
Do you know what it's, I came here literally just